Today on Ask This Old House.
This is a museum piece, this fireplace. I mean, I'm out of my mind right now. I don't even know where to start.
You like it?
I love it. You still have the cooking arm for the pots.
Yep.
This stone hearth. I bet you these stones came right from the backyard and placed as the hearth 300 years ago. I'll repair one of the oldest types of fireplaces in the country.
Check out this coat rack. I'm getting a lesson on how to weld, and Jimmy DiResta is going to show me how to build it.
Another good clue for welding is you want to hear the sound of frying bacon consistently.
And is your toilet constantly running? You better go catch it. Only kidding. I'll show you how to fix it.
If you want a taste of what it was like to live in a house a couple hundred years ago, all you have to do is head out to a living history museum like this one in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. But to me, my attention goes right to the masonry. During the colonial era, the fireplace took the place of most of our utilities and appliances. They had to provide heat, light, and hot food. And that's why they had to be built to be as functional as possible. For cooking, I'm going to use this crane, which articulates in and out to keep me away from the flame. I can add a pot and push it right over the fire to cook. For a hot, flat surface, I can rake some ash, add some coals. Then I can use a special frying pan called a spider. That'll cook my bacon and eggs. Or I can use a trivet and an iron to press my clothes. So one of the coolest things about the early American fireplace is right here. It's the beehive oven, and it was built right next to the fireplace so it could use the same flue. The way these things work is simple. We're going to build the fire up front, and the way this is shaped, it's going to hold that heat for a long time. At that point, I'm going to pull the coals out, and then I'm going to wet down the bed with a wet broom, and then I'll be ready to cook. The things that need the hottest temperature are going to go in first, and then as the morning goes on, we're going to be able to put in stuff that does not need as much heat. By the mid-1800s, beehive ovens weren't being made anymore, but the ones that are still in existence today are used for pizza ovens and sometimes for baking bread. This homeowner emailed us about the original beehive oven he has in his house. This is really a great place. If you look to the left, that was built in 1835, but if you go over to the right side, that's the original portion of the house. That was built in 1750, which predates the Revolutionary War.
Mark, welcome to our home.
Oh, wow. So this is 1750 all day long. I mean, beautiful wide pine floors. You have the exposed beams.
Yep.
This is a museum piece, this fireplace. I mean, I'm out of my mind right now. I don't even know where to start.
You like it?
I love it. You still have the cooking arm for the pots.
Yep.
This stone hearth. I bet you these stones came right from the backyard and placed as the hearth 300 years ago. So, but this is the gem right here, the old beehive oven.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so now I can see why you emailed us.
Yeah, so we've cooked pizzas in here a couple of times. We want to cook breads in here also. But each time I use it, I think that it's becoming more and more deteriorated. So I wanted to see if it could be fixed.
Okay, so first thing I can see is that the brick on the bed of the oven, they're gone.
That's pretty bad?
Yeah, we're going to have to take those out and replace those.
Okay.
And now look over to the right. You can see 6 or 7 more brick that are kind of in the same condition.
Right.
But that's not my biggest problem. Look at this opening.
Yeah, it's very small.
It's very small, and I have to work deep into the oven box. So I'm going to have to find access either through the back, maybe I can go through the side, but I'm going to have to find access somewhere.
Okay.
And when you're dealing with a 300-year-old beehive oven, it's very brittle, and any wrong move that I make could cause it to collapse, which is what we don't want to do, as you know.
We're willing to take the risk. We love the history of it, but we also want it to be usable and practical in our house, so we're very excited about the possibility.
All right, then we're going to get at it and make it work.
Okay.
All right, Sean. All right, so I was lucky enough to find an access panel. Unfortunately, it's just a bit too high. You can see this dome, that's the top of our beehive oven.
Right.
Connects very nicely into the chimney.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my access panel right here.
Okay.
Luckily for us, it doesn't have to be too big. Any house that was built before 1978, we have to assume had lead paint.
I think this house would definitely qualify.
It definitely qualifies. But if we were to make a bigger hole, we'd have to fall into full lead protocol, which means masking off this room. You and I are in a suit. We have full respirators on.
Okay.
But because we're going to keep this hole under 6 square feet,
Yeah.
we don't have to abide by those stringent rules.
Okay.
But we do want to work safe, so you and I will keep those respirators on. Anything that falls to the ground, we're going to scoop up with a HEPA vac, and then we should be good to go. Covering this beehive oven is a stucco coat of mortar. I'm going to have to take it off to get to the brick, and I'm going to start right here. So what we found is we do have 2 courses of brick.
Is that a problem?
It's not a problem. That means we're 8 inches thick, so we're happy with that.
Okay.
The only problem is every time I bang that outer layer of brick, I may affect what's on the inside. So again, I'm just going to have to go as careful as possible at all times, no matter what I'm doing. All right. So that's the first one.
Now you can watch This Old House and Ask This Old House anytime, anywhere. Download our new app to stream full episodes to your tablet, your TV, and your phone. Binge on classic episodes, catch up on recent renovation, and get step-by-step help projects all around the house. And best of all, it's free. The most trusted home improvement information is now available on your Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, iOS, and Android devices. Download the This Old House streaming app today.
Now we're going to go after the bed brick. All right, we got the demo out of the way.
Yeah, those bricks were really crumbly, Mark.
Right. So the reason for that is back in the 1700s, they just didn't have a kiln hot enough to cook these bricks to the temperature that they had to be to withstand that intense heat in that oven.
Right.
But now that we're doing something brand new, we have the opportunity to make a choice.
Okay.
This is what they call a fire brick. It could withstand heat up to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. If I was building something brand new, fireplace or chimney, this is what my firebox would be made of.
Okay.
But because we're in restoration mode, we have a little bit of leeway on what we're going to use. So what we have here is a City Hall paver. It doesn't have the fire rating of a fire brick, but it will definitely withstand the heat that we're going to produce out of that oven.
Okay.
But more importantly, it's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it matches the original much better than the fire brick.
Right. So let's get going.
Okay.
So access is pretty tough for this beehive oven, so it's going to require that I use 2 masons, myself and Valmir.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That's a pretty tight area to be working in.
Well, that's why we needed 2 masons. We're going to work both ends. We're going to be able to pass the material to each other and point each other's work up. We are using a type N mortar. That's because the temperature is going to fluctuate as you use the oven, and the type N gives us a little more flexibility. And for this application, we're going to mix it a little wetter, and that's because the brick are so dry that we didn't want the water to be sucked out of the mortar. All right, Val, I'm going to come in.
Yes, right there.
All right, well, we got the oven back into one piece.
Terrific.
All right, so the only thing we're gonna have to do now is get that access hole fixed.
Right.
You might wanna bring in a specialty plaster because that's the original horsehair plaster to the house.
Okay.
You could probably do it yourself, but I think it's a job for a plastering contractor.
I understand.
Okay.
You guys did an absolutely terrific job. We can't wait to cook pizzas in it.
The only thing you're gonna have to do about that is just wait 28 days for that mortar to cure, and after that, Pizza City.
All right, sounds
right.
good. I was enthralled the whole time. I was nervous but confident.
All right.
Wonderful work, Mark. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Want to tackle all your home improvement projects with confidence? Join This Old House Insider, a new streaming service from This Old House, the iconic Emmy-winning series that inspired a generation of home enthusiasts. Stream over 1,000 episodes of This Old House and Ask This Old House, commercial-free. Watch it all in the This Old House app. And join live online Q&As with our experts. Best of all, you can try Insider free for 7 days. To join, go to thisoldhousemembership.com.
Leaky toilets, Richard. How many have you seen in your day?
Couple thousand.
I bet.
You know, a toilet is a big water consumer in any house, but it's even worse when you have these insidious leaks inside the toilet tank itself, because you won't see them on the floor, but they will continue to use water all day, all night, and it means a lot of water consumption.
Okay.
So I thought we would just take a little primer on how a basic toilet works. Okay, it has two parts. One is the bowl, one is the tank. Inside the tank, there are two important components. One is the flush valve, and that makes the water leave the tank, and the other is the fill valve. So when I lift the tank lever, the flapper opens, and now all the water that's in the tank will come down into the bowl suddenly, create enough of a siphon action to scour that bowl clean and send it to drain.
And then as this tank emptied, that little device that opened falls back down,
That's right.
seals it up so we can refill the tank.
That's right. And then this device has only one job. The fill valve just has to do that. It has to refill that tank to the right level, okay? So the most common problem inside these tanks is in this flush valve, and that is in the flapper itself. You see this flapper right here?
Yep.
It can get worn over time. So this is the part that when the tank lever lifts, this has a little float on it to get it out of the way so the water will leave the tank suddenly.
Rushes through there
That's
into
right,
the bowl.
down the bowl. And then it wants to drop. Well, over time, this part, it's a rubber part, it can get worn. And so now what happens is water will just drip, drip, drip. So the replacement is pretty straightforward. You turn off the water down here, and now this has two little ears. Okay, you see them right here?
Yep.
And so we'll bring a new one in. Okay, and you clip it on. But you're only half done. Now, a really important part is to adjust this chain. Now, the chain comes in links with a little hook at the top. Now, if you put this onto the tank lever and you made it too taut, look what would happen.
You'd have that little tiny leak underneath
The
here.
same issue as if it was worn, okay? So you want to make sure it's not too taut. But conversely, if you made it too loose, you could activate the tank lever, but it wouldn't lift it enough to make it flip out of the way and flush, okay? So this has to be just the right length, and there's those chain links so you can make it just right.
So this is one place where we can have
That's
a
right.
leak. You're talking about other places?
Absolutely. The other part of this flush valve is the overflow right here. Now, this is an important safety device. If this fill valve was ever bad, what would happen? Water could continue to rise, the flappers hold it, and now you could flood a house completely away. So you've got to make sure that that's there.
You'd see that leak.
Absolutely. But what you want to make sure is that the setting of this fill valve makes the water level be about 1 inch down from the top of this overflow. Now, what I find happens is sometimes people don't adjust this correctly. Now, the adjustment is pretty straightforward. And what will happen is, if the water level is too high, watch this.
It keeps filling the tank
Correct.
past where it should.
Yeah. So now, if you ever lifted off a toilet tank and you saw this condition right here, see this? What happens is the water could just keep drip, drip, dripping down into the bowl and down the drain, keeping that water meter spinning.
Essentially leaking through the overflow.
Right. You know, in the old days, we'd have a fill valve like this that had a bent brass rod with a big float like this.
yeah.
You might remember, and
Yeah, the
you'd
big
bend the
ball.
rod and everything else. And they've lost favor because it was hard to get that rod to sort of be just right. So now the modern ones have the float built in. Well, how do you adjust that? Well, these, I could just make it be whatever height I want it to be.
Oh, just sort of adjustable.
Because this is the float right here. With this one, we can just loosen or close this thread right here to make the float beat right. But you need the right water level here. It has to leave at the right speed, and then when you're done, everything has to close off tight.
Saving leaks once again.
That's a go.
Nice job, Richard.
Hey, Jimmy, how are you?
Tom, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I know my friend Kevin's been here a couple of times. You did some projects with him. I think you did a big table.
Yep, the farm table we did.
Yeah, and I love that Adirondack chair that you welded up.
Oh yeah,
That
steel.
was a nice look.
Right on.
So what do you got for me today?
We got this coat rack. This is just for reference and size.
Okay.
I want to make a coat rack that's going to have some ability to not rock. I want to make a sturdy coat rack today.
Yeah, that's a little flimsy. So this is wood, and you're not going to do wood.
No.
So what do we got for material?
Take a look at this. We got this 2x2 inch steel. It's 16 gauge wall.
Yeah, that'll be nice and heavy.
I use this to make a lot of tables in the shop.
Okay. And then what are we going to use for hooks?
We have these railroad spikes that I got out of my blacksmith shop.
So this will be fun. You're going to weld these on.
Yep.
Now, I did welding years ago, but I used to weld on the job sites where I'd weld the steel lallies to the plates and then to the lally columns and the I-beams and stuff like that.
Right.
But that was stick welding.
Yeah, that's the old school way.
Yeah.
Still used, but today we're going to use MIG, wire fed. A little bit easier for a shop environment like this.
Always wanted to learn how to MIG weld, so you're the man, you can teach me.
Today's the day.
All right, let's get started.
Let's go. This 1 6-foot piece of steel is going to become all 4 of our legs. When I cut my first finished piece, I use that for the template to make the next 3 legs.
That way, all the angles and the length of the legs will be the same.
Exactly.
All right, here we go.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
You hot?
It is a little hot, but you have these fans going, so that's a help.
Right on. Well, we need to wear our protective gear because when the weld occurs, it creates a light that's enough to give you a sunburn. It will burn your eyes too.
Oh, yeah.
So we need a shield. These are auto darkening hoods so we can keep them down the whole time. And we also have to wear gloves. So
Right. Makes
gotta
sense.
tough it
Safety
out.
is good.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about the machine.
This is a MIG welder. The wire comes off of this spool. It's mechanically fed through this 10-foot cord and comes up out of the handle.
Okay.
See that? And the gas comes out at the same time.
All right, so tell me about the gas. Why do we need it?
We need gas to shield the weld because oxygen will create oxidation, and that's not good for a weld. It won't make a good, pure weld. You know how you stick weld and it's covered with the clay? People think it's clay, but it's flux. That shields the stick weld process. That's why when you're done, you got to chip away the slag.
All right.
And right here, the slag in quotes would be the gas shielding that weld.
So there's nothing to chip off of.
Not with this process. Yeah. Right on.
All right, so let's get started.
Let's go. Okay, we're going to practice on some scrap pieces just to get a reference point of your ability.
Make sure I don't ruin the coat rack.
Right, okay. And so the hardest part is going to be able to see through the hood and see what you're doing. Because the minute you pull that trigger, that light is going to emit and it's going to auto darken. So you're going to be able to, you're going to have to try and decipher what you're looking at.
Okay.
All right? So let's start with a tack. I'll let you do the first tack.
All right. Do you want me to do the first tack?
Go for it. And I have it turned down for our 16 gauge. So we should be good.
So when you pull the trigger, the wire's going to just keep coming.
That's right.
So I have to keep moving.
Well, with this, one of the biggest mistakes most people make is they go too fast.
Yep.
Okay, what I'm going to have you do is use one hand as a rest just to guide the tip. And what you want to do is hold it right at the seam about a ½ inch away at about a 30-degree angle and pull that trigger. If you can see the seam, just give a little bit of a wiggle to cross the seam.
Okay.
Count to 1/1003.
All right. Here we go.
This is just a reference. I said the hardest part is going to be able to see what you're doing.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right. The hardest part is to see what I'm doing, see?
Yep. Now, I'll do it and you copy me. Now, right away I see your holdout was too far away.
Yeah.
So you got to get right in there. And another good clue for welding is you want to hear the sound of frying bacon consistently. You heard that was a bit spattery?
So that's good.
That was a bit spattery?
Yeah.
You want a consistent sound. Now, listen to my sound. Remember your sound. Now listen to my sound.
Okay.
You hear the difference?
I definitely hear the difference.
Yep. You got to stay a little bit closer too. I noticed right away you were very far away. You need to maintain that that gap of about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch.
Okay.
And just hold it steady. Don't go anywhere. I noticed you were kind of wiggling in space.
Yeah, I was trying to find the line. I really can't see it. But
Well, you know what? Let's just get a weld first. As
right.
long as you get that dot, then you start getting a better reference. Then we can decide where it goes.
all right, so maybe there's hope. Let's give it a try.
Closer, 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 closer. Try that. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Okay. You heard the difference in sound?
I did hear the difference in sound, yep.
So, yep. So you're getting better already.
Yeah.
On your second weld ever.
Wow.
All right. Now we just got to hit the mark. What's next?
I'll agree with that one. I definitely have to hit the mark.
But
All
you're
right.
close.
Yeah.
You're close. That's why it's important to position yourself just before you're about to go. So you could, sometimes you'll see a welder do this. You'll see a welder position himself and then make this move. So he's got a little bit of memory, muscle memory. So even if he can't see it, he knows he needs to go that way.
I see.
You
yeah.
understand?
So I'll try it again.
Slowly. That's better, much better. That's great. Wow. It takes
That's definitely
instruction.
better.
Looks great. You're getting it. Your third time.
A little better than the other side.
Okay. This is going to be our position
Yep.
for our first two legs. I'll make a deal with you. I'll tack them, and you try and run the bead between the tack.
It's like a deal.
Ready? Here we go.
for it.
Let me get that one more. Hang on. Ready? All right, those are very light tacks just to make sure we're all connected.
Yep.
And so now, what's comfortable for you, you kind of went from this way to this way before, maybe?
Yeah, I could go either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what's comfortable for you and see if you can throw a bead on there. Go to the end. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Good. Much better. How you feeling? You want to go for that one?
Yeah, let's go for it.
There you go. Perfect. And the speed is nice. Get it. Sounds good. Speed up a little bit. That's it.
Looks good. It's not rocking. Looks plumb. All right, so now we're ready for the pin.
Considering these have a sharp tip on them, I want to cut them back so it's a little bit flatter, gives us more welding surface area as well.
So I noticed you're just eyeballing that angle when you cut the spike.
Yep, because I can just fill it in later with the weld.
Makes sense.
I'm going to make the top shelf of our coat rack out of a leftover piece of 2-inch thick sapele. We're using here boiled linseed oil.
You know, I've used linseed oil on wood, but I've never tried it on metal before. Nice job on the coat rack, Jimmy. It looks beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project, so be sure to check out the others. And if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button to make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.